www.youtube.com/TAPKAC. Hi folks, sometimes we don't get the adventure or vacation that we wished for or planned for, but sometimes we get the ones that we needed. And a year ago, I spent 18 days in the hospital. And, well, how did this all start out? I came home from work on the first Monday of February, and I got my W-2 in the mail, and so therefore I did up my taxes, had a beer, and then after doing my taxes, I had to go to the bathroom and, as they say, call Ralph. Ralph! So, okay, well, maybe I just drank it too quickly, or maybe it was not the right temperature, whatever. But anyway, I have some dinner, which is, let's say, leftover pizza from the previous day, and a few hours later, I have to call Ralph again. And then a few hours later, in the middle of the night, I have to call Ralph yet another time, and I'm thinking, what could possibly be left in here that I haven't already Ralphed up already? It was mostly bile, but anyway, the next morning I start getting this really bad feeling, like right in my belly, and it's a rather familiar feeling, which is to say, well, back in 2012, I had gone to one of Dave's games, and I had a hot dog during that time, and then after the game was over, I went to the movies. During said movie, I started having this not feeling not all too well, and then during the night and during the rest of the day, the next day, which was Sunday, I started. It felt like I had, like broken glass and thumbtacks and razor wire and broken crockery running through my system, and just I'm just howling in pain and just and so. But the next day, Monday, I was just fine. So on this day, I start feeling that familiar feeling, and like, uh-oh, I guess maybe the pizza sauce was moldy or something, or maybe it was something rotten in the ingredients, and so I call work. I say, look, I'm not going to be able to make it today because I probably ate something bad, or maybe it's a stomach flu, or maybe it's something else. And they say, yeah, it's all right. There's probably a flu going around. And this time I decided to prepare myself because I wasn't able to do this the last time. So I go to the convenience store. I get myself some of that, Gatorade or Powerade or whatever the sports drink is that it tastes kind of fruity and has electrolytes. You also have this when you're sick with, and of course, to deal with razor wire and broken crockery going through my system, I get some of the pink stuff to ease me through and make me, well, more comfortable than without. So, so I go through that, and then the next day, well, I'm not feeling all that well, but I'm feeling a bit better. But I take the day off to, just wait till I'm back to 100%. And, well, during that time, this is Wednesday now, and it feels like you ever see those, like, magicians, they have a booth and someone gets into the booth and they have those big old blades that, are like this wide, and, they slide it here, they slide it there, they slide it there, and, and the person comes out, all in one piece, anyway. But, so I feel like I have one of those blades deals like jammed right in my gut. Just, and every once in a while, pulse, just sort of just howling in pain. And fortunately, no neighbors were hearing me howling, especially because the trees that were separating my place from the next door neighbor's place were being taken down. And I'm wondering through some of this, is this some kind of guilt thing? Like, because the previous Sunday, I had found that the next door neighbor, the youngest kid of the family that used to live next door, who was, at the time 30. Well, he was 30 in the year that this was all happening. Well, his sister came over and said, by the way, he's dead. Thought you might like to know. You were his friend at all. What? And it turned out it was a head-on collision with his makeshift, bicycle, which he put an engine on to make it and it was a bicycle, and he put an engine on it to make it a makeshift moped, and head-on collision, and, he died in that. Yeah, he's dead. Thought you might like to know. You were his friend and all. And, so I'm kind of wondering how much of this pain is psychological, kind of like, the traumatic epilepsy that I developed after my stepbrother did himself in, which that psychological traumatic epilepsy was over with 8 years ago. Thank you. So it's really hard for me to. Anyway, It's Thursday morning. I say, look, I got to see the doctor. As it says on the pink stuff bottle, if your pain doesn't go away within 2 days, go see a doctor or go to the hospital. And so I say, look, I got to see the doctor about this. So I go to the doctor. Well, I try to go to the doctor, which is to say that I wanted to be there when they first opened. I wanted to be waiting for them and say hi, but it's really hard for me to get up. The reason being is because when you do anything, just leaning forward, you're doing kind of a stomach crunch on your belly right here, or even just putting your hands up and you're doing a crunch of some kind. You're tensing your stomach, just to get up, and and so I can get my legs over, but sitting up is hard. Getting up, and so I have to finally, like right around 10 o'clock, I have to pretend I'm in one of the Saw movies, and I get a little tape thing from either Jigsaw himself or one of his disciples. I want to play a game. You have 45 minutes to get yourself out of bed, dressed, showered, dressed, and over to the doctor's before they go to lunch. The clock is ticking. And so finally, okay, I get my legs out of bed and then kind of get up, crash into the dresser, get myself up, and then kind of slide my feet. It's like here's the floor, here's my foot. Just kind of here's my feet. Left foot, right foot, left foot. I'm basically doing a forwards moonwalk. Just to get to the bathroom, let alone kind of try to lift my legs without upsetting here, and shower up, and then you have to get out. And fortunately, I left some clothes, on the bed so I can, just, you know, you know, put on some pants, and don't even think about putting on a belt because you're not going to tighten anything around this. And never mind socks. I just take the undo the laces, throw them into the shoe, and get my feet in there somehow. Get to the car, ease myself in, get to the doctor, and slowly frontwards moonwalk to the place. And by this time, I probably looked like hell when death warmed over, and so I said, hi, three things. First of all, this is my new insurance. Do you take it? Yes, I do. Ah, good. Second, is my doctor in? Because, as you can see, I'm really in bad shape. And fortunately, he was there, and he was actually on his way to go elsewhere. But someone said, "Hey, your patient is here, and he looks like death warmed over." So, he said, "All right, well, I'll see him." And so he, on a scale of 1 to 10, how's your pain? Well, I'm not crying or sobbing or bawling, so I had to put it at 9.5. But still, it's just, ugh. So he says, let me try something. And, he just, kind of prods, boop, and instead of going, like the Pillsbury Doughboy, I just go, blah, and he's like, all right, you got to go to the hospital. Okay, so let me arrange an ambulance, and I don't want to pay. I don't want a bill of an ambulance, which is about like 3 months' salary. So I say, "Can I drive myself?" And he says, "Okay, well, but you're going to have to sign this waiver." And so, fine, I sign the waiver, and I drive myself over to this hospital. Hey, I drove myself to the doctor in the first place, so I could drive myself to the hospital, right? So I frontwards moon. I get there, I lock up the car because I have the feeling I'm going to be here for quite a while, and I frontwards moonwalk over to the door, and yeah, my doctor sent me, and they say, yeah, take a seat, and they eventually they put me in this wheelchair, not the kind that you can wheel around, but somebody else can wheel around. You have to be wheeled by somebody else, and just going over the doors, the door, in the doorway, there's that bump, and the bump is only about like this big, but it feels like I'm going over, like I'm driving a car at 60 an hour, you know, and driving over a pothole about this deep, so, they take a bunch of x-rays, and it turns out that my appendix is, dilapidated, perforated, emaciated, everythingated, like a dilapidated old house that you see when you're driving down a rural road. And you see these houses and you say, just like, when did the people move out? Has the real estate company ever tried to resell it? When did they give up on it? Who owns the property? And why have they not bulldozed this thing to the ground? Like, let me show you some pictures of what I mean. Okay, so this is not too horrifying. I mean, it's dilapidated and all, but, well, let's see what the backyard looks like. Or let's see what the back of the house looks like. What back of the house? Well, so it was somewhere between that and this. Yeah. So apparently that's what the condition my appendix was, and so eventually they had to have me like gulp a bunch of water while they stick a hose like up my nose and down the back, and then down here, down my esophagus and everything else, and beyond the realm. Um, and give me some like IV attachments, and they say, okay, well, here's what you have, yada 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 yada, and we can't do an operation here, but we're going to send you to this hospital where you can have it done. So I say, okay, can I drive myself? Again, I don't want this, like 3 months' salary being spent on an ambulance ride. And they say, no, you'll die. Okay, that's good enough. And by the way, in hindsight, wait a minute. I have this nose hose, and which is tickling my throat, making it kind of hard to speak unless I have a drink of water because it's interrupting everything here. And I also have these IV. What am I going to do? Take the nose hose and whatever it's attached to, and whatever my you know other hookup. By the way, speaking of the nose hose, yeah. So here's me with the nose hose, and here's my first of what would become many attachments. So how was I going to drive myself to this other hospital with all that? So I realize in hindsight. But I just want to keep this bill as down as I possibly can. So a little bit after midnight. Now it's Friday. They say, okay, well, we're going to wheel you in and we're going to, take you here. And by the way, it's a little bit chilly outside. So, how about, so here's a blanket, and to which I say, it's chilly outside? Oh, far out. Let me go get a bowl. To which they say, what? And I have to explain. It's one of those yo mama jokes. Yo mama joke, like, yo, mama's so stupid that she heard it was chilly outside, so she went to the kitchen for a bowl. Or your mama's so ugly that she looked in the mirror and her reflection said, ah, hell no, I quit. Or your mama's so filthy that she went to go take a bath and the water jumped out of the tub. Your mama's so fat that she fell in love and broke it. Or your mama's so skinny that she hula hoops with a Cheerio. Or an Applejack. Or a Fruit Loop. Or your mama's so poor that she chases after the garbage man's truck with a grocery list. Anyway, we get to the hospital. And they wheel me to my room, and then finally daylight comes around. They say, okay, well, we're gonna have the operation, and they take me down to the gurney garage. Now, what I mean by the gurney garage is that it's a big old room where everybody's on gurneys, and they're getting their attachments and getting prepared for surgery of some kind, and well, just like a garage where, one car is having a transmission flush and somebody else is having a glow light put in the undercarriage, and another, is, getting a gold speckled paint job, so, yeah, the garage for, the gurney garage. And during this, they told me that, okay, I'm going to have some morphine. Woohoo! I've had morphine before. When I was 15, I'd had an operation. They enrolled me up on morphine, and it is fun. You ever heard the term "too much fun to be illegal"? Yeah, that's what morphine is. And during that operation, so they nail me up on morphine. They take me to the operating room. They nail me up with something else To which I finally go out with, I am so stoned. Yeah. Wake up in the recovery room. Recovery, ugh. Yeah, my head is pulsating like like someone thought my head was the golden spike that united the railroads. Every inch of my skin felt like clothespins were attached to, like I said, every inch of my skin. I'm pouring with sweat and ralphing up everything inside that's not nailed down. And, later they take me to my room and I get to, recuperate for the night. And the next day they send me packing. So, this time, so they mentioned the morphine, and as I said, woohoo, morphine, yeah, and they mentioned this other thing that they're gonna give me called fentanyl. Uh, what? Fentanyl? Isn't this that new nightmare sensation that's eradicating the nation that I've been hearing about? And people were like a big old crisis, like opioids and crack and all sorts of other, bleh. And but then I rationalize to myself. I say, well, okay, they're professionals, and also they're not getting. First of all, they have my files. They know my blood pressure. They know my weight. They know my average alcohol intake, my average tobacco intake, caffeine intake, etc., and so on and so forth. So they should know just the right dosage to give me. Plus, it's not street fentanyl, and so therefore it's not been stepped on. It's not mixed with drain cleaner or anything. So I rest assured on that. And so they take me over to the operating room, and they take me to the operating room, and they kind of park me outside as they prepare. And then they're wheeling me back down the hall to my room, and I'm thinking, so when are we going to get this thing done? And they say, it's been done. What do you mean it's been done? They say, well, the operation has been done. And really? As I mentioned about the recovery room after surgery when I was 15, this time there's no grogginess, there's no hangover, there's no and okay, this is a bit weird. I don't remember anything. Just click. But there was no click. There was no going. This must be what it must feel to anybody who's been on who's been a victim of a date rape drug, or roofies, or whatever you want to call it. And I mentioned it, I say it's like, how did that happen? I don't remember anything. I don't remember going out, and I don't remember whatever. And somebody says something to the nature of like you wouldn't want to remember anything. Okay, that's a bit unsettling. And did I say or do something wrong or embarrassing? Did I try to get flirty with any of the female crew? Did I go on some tirade like that I didn't know, like some Mel Gibson or Alec Baldwin or Christian Bale tirade that they're going to be remembered for, and or did I somehow manage to jump out of bed, grab a bedpan, and start singing, hello my baby, hello my honey, hello my ragtime girl. I don't know, but if someone says, trust me, you wouldn't want to remember, or anything to that nature, yeah, that's a wee bit unsettling. So, and so I say, okay, so I guess I'll be, well, now that it's been done, I guess I'm going home tomorrow, and they're like, no, 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 no. Well, they didn't say it like that or anything, but still, no, it's gonna be at least a week because, well, I have even more attachments, which I'll tell you about later. Um, and it's like I have a lot more to recuperate than you know, and then after maybe a week, it kind of depends on me. So uh, with that, so began the 18 days, and I'll tell the rest. Tell you about. I'll give you a summary of those 18 days in the next video.